Misfits Gaming on the blue side, Unicorns of Love on the red. Rek'Sai already taken off the board. Zach taken away as well. Division, I feel like we've already seen a lot of mix-ups in terms of what we were seeing in the meta. Sejuani already coming in, Jax coming in as well. Do you think we'll see more changes here in this draft?
I think we're just seeing that right now in 7-13, a lot of picks in every role is viable. Jungle used to be just a few picks, but right now you can play everything from Sejuani to that Rek'Sai to a Lee Sin. So many different choices at the moment, and that just means the pick and ban phase, it does shift quite a bit. Zach, Caitlyn are still universally agreed on. They need to be banned. Rek'Sai is a bit surprising for me against Xerxes. Obviously, I think Misfits are saying this is the one champion where he showed good early games, so let's remove it and don't actually see if Unicorns can play an early game style, because we know Xerxes is not a big Elise player, he's not a big Lee Sin guy. So with Rek'Sai gone, most of his early game picks are gone.
And one champion that still has remained at the top of the priority list is that Thresh, coming in for Ignar very early on. Unicorns of Love gonna have to find something to fire back. Now in the past, it has been Blitzcrank they've often strayed toward, but maybe it'll be the Braum this time around.
Gragas, if you're Unicorns of Love, Gragas Gnar is still a good combo for you. They don't have to pick Sejuani here when Gragas is available. Xayah Rakan is another one that we saw at Rift Rivals. They do go with the Xayah for now. Obviously, don't actually technically have to take Rakan at the moment. Can wait for the next one if you want to get Gragas.
I think we both know they're taking Rakan.
Go Gragas now, take Rakan next rotation.
We'll see. We will see. In the past, it has been the instant no hesitation lock-in, but that long hover on Diana makes me think that it may indeed be something else. Is it going to be the Gragas?
Fine. Yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
Call that 1-1-0.
Fine. So, Max Lore, we know he's a big Lee Sin player if he wants to have early game pressure. I still think Gragas is such a contested pick that it would be fine to take it above Lee Sin for Misfits. I do like the Thresh, of course, as a first pick. Always good for Ignar.
And we talked about this off broadcast, that we really like to see Misfits with strong engage tools, and Ignar on the Thresh has been consistently a good source of engage. The Varus for Hansama as well. His most played champion this season.
So we're still kind of waiting to see if they want to go for early mid laner, early jungler top lane, like Renekton as a blind pick is an option, Gragas as a jungle pick is an option, and then I was going to mention Corki as another one that's been quite a large or big pick here for Power of Evil. They do, however, go with the Gragas for now, and I'm happy to see that. Now, Xerxes doesn't have to pick his jungler here because his pool is quite large.
But we don't know. That could be the jungler. That's the beauty of the Unicorns of Love, Deficio. However, Rumble will be locked in, and it looks like neither team is committing too hard to like any one style of composition. We have a nice engage on the bottom side for Misfits, solid engage for the Unicorns of Love as well. A lot of damage if that is going to be Rumble on the top side. But it doesn't feel like solo lanes are 100% set, although the Gnar being banned away may just confirm for us that that is a Rumble in the top lane.
Yeah, definitely very, very possible right now, and I think there are stronger junglers for him to play as well than the Rumble jungle. LeBlanc coming in for Misfits as a ban against Exile. I don't think you'll have to ban away his LeBlanc, but they are definitely respecting what he can do on that champion. Syndra is still available, so is the Corki. The Corki has definitely been a big one for Exile if you look at Rift Rivals. I actually think he had his best performance all split long on Corki against TSM in the final.
What about the Kassadin game? Don't forget about the Kassadin game. They tried to dive him, he turned it around.
That game was good too, but that Corki game, he was like solo carrying and getting the team back in the game until that Baron got stolen.
And to be fair, that's exactly what we want to see from him. When he first came onto the scene, it was questionable, but when he was at his prime, it was the Ryze picks coming in clutch in every game. And now the Cassio going to be banned away, LeBlanc, Syndra.
And again, this sets up the Corki pick if you want, because you ban Cassiopeia, which is one of the matchups that can be annoying for Corki to deal with. Obviously, with Syndra being banned as well, it's kind of Orianna, Corki as the two standard blind picks for mid. We should assume to see that. Talia is also an option, I have to highlight. There's so many good mid laners right now. It's like heaven in that mid lane pool. I actually want to see Corki though from Exile, because again, I think it is a pick that actually suits him very well.
Okay. Ooh, I am so excited about this. I have had so many conversations with Cersei about this champion. That is the Kindred locked in for the jungle. Now we can talk about it in game.
Yes, we can.
For now, Deficio, we can talk about the mid lane. I know you want to talk about it.
I mean, the thing is, again, there's so many good mid lane options for Power of Evil. I think maybe here Exile wants to save last pick for a potential Kassadin or Vladimir. Is that a top lane Mordekaiser? Yeah, I agree with the crowd.
Yeah. Boo! Meta!
What is this, Orianna? When you can go Mordekaiser, you can't go Orianna. You can't swap like that.
Well, now moving forward, we're going to have to see what the final pick is going to be for Misfits, what they want to round out their composition with. Tons of engage, nice follow-up from the Orianna, but what are they missing? What do they want here, Deficio?
I mean, I think they have almost everything they need, but obviously against the Rumble top lane, if you want to go for a carry matchup, you want to have somebody that can actually try and kill the Rumble in the late game. Kled is one of those champions. They're going for it. I want to see now with Exile, because Corki is the obvious go-to choice, but I wonder if he wants to play Vladimir against his Orianna and just try and farm for late game.
Okay, they're playing with our hearts, guys. Come on.
Ooh,
Galio.
okay.
Now, see, I like this because while we did not talk as much about the Kindred, it is a very squishy champion. Xayah, Rakan, Rumble, none of these champions incredibly tanky. The Galio does feel like it balances the composition out to a certain degree.
And this very much is a keep our AD carry alive at all costs. Galio ulti when the fight starts for the damage reduction, into then a Kindred ulti in the late game as well, once Xayah drops low. Unicorns love putting a lot of focus on Samux specifically, but it's not like they're lacking damage otherwise. Chachi can easily carry this game. A fed Kindred in the late game can easily also be super impactful. So it's not just Samux who needs to deal damage, but there's a lot of good protection for him at the same time. I actually think it's a very fun draft from Unicorns of Love, and if they can execute it in-game, it might be super hard to beat in teamfights.
Interesting, though, because the Kindred has been picked, and the Gragas, we haven't seen her in a long time, but those of you who are familiar know you can just knock people out of that Kindred ultimate very reliably, and that is so much of the utility she can bring in fights. However, we're going to have to see how these compositions are going to work out. Head over to Twitter, at LOL Esports, hashtag MSFWin, or hashtag UOLWin. And what are the goals here? When we look at the early game, the mid game, what does each of these team comps want to do, Martin?
I mean, when you look at the bottom lane specifically, we know Xayah and Rakan can play very aggressive against squishy lanes, and Thresh actually in the early game is a target you can go for if you want to play around that lane with the Kindred. But obviously if you are Xerxes, you want to get to 4 marks as fast as possible before you're really joining the team too much. Overall though, like, a lot of the lanes here can actually play very aggressive except for mid lane. Mid lane is the only boring farm lane when nothing should happen. Bot lane, you have a lot of damage on both sides and actually a lot of squishy members that can die. And top lane, you got Kled versus Rumble.
At the end of the day, we're going to have to see what each team wants to go for. Unicorns of Love starting with an aggressive move onto the top side. All 5 members strong. Misfits, a little more split up. May not be ready for this one.
Let's see a double TP from Unicorns of Love. Exile gets his Galio in the mid lane. Hylissang jumping over the wall here. He's trying to hide around the corner, so maybe Alfari, walks into this tri-brush here, doesn't expect the Rakan to be behind him, and he has to flash out or maybe even die. So Hilly has snuck his way in. He's not spotted. They're looking for Alfari.
Here comes the collapse. Alfari, where are you going to go? Probably a flash over the wall. Yeah, well, made it out, but does blow the flash and has been marked by Xerxes, maybe telegraphing where he's going to want to go in the early game.
Can still change, obviously. Misfits will, of course, get a return ward, but I'll take the flash over the ward, even though it does give them a bit of information on the bottom side. It means, obviously, that Xerxes, as you said, he could go top lane very easily and go for an early gank on Alfari. Always important to highlight it with the Rumble nerfs that happened a few patches ago now. He doesn't push as hard in the early game as he used to, so you don't have to just perma push here as Vesichachi. You can actually let Alfari overextend and maybe gank him.
All right, and as exciting as that is, as much as I want to talk about top lane, it's time to talk about Kindred. We have to. We haven't seen her in so long, and oh, no point at me. All right, so for those of you unfamiliar, she has been changed. At 4 stacks, you get 75 bonus range. Every stack you get enhances each of your abilities outside of your ult. However, she has a number of distinct weaknesses. Heavily item reliant.
Yes.
Not good at killing raptors at all, which can be a huge point of weakness in the early game.
And also a thing where obviously her E that she's using early in a fight to apply a slow is actually also her execute ability, so she kind of wants to save it, but she can't really afford to save it. So obviously Kindred is a champion where you're not expecting her to be too strong in the early game. She wants to really get the marks. If you get an early kill, she will be strong. Hylissang is very
going very far forward after already losing the trade. Doubles down.
Hey, remember when I said the Xayah Rakan lane can play aggressive? They're trying at least from Unicorn's bottom lane. Classic move, honestly, from Hylissang and Samux here. They love to just try and all in as early as possible, but that one was definitely not the correct choice.
And characteristic of some of the weaknesses we see from Unicorns of Love in the early game. They love to play aggressive every single time, and sometimes it works out. Sometimes they destroy the opposition, but very often, recently at least, it has resulted in a lot of deficits.
Exactly, and it's important to highlight it was not just at Rift Rivals. Before Rift Rivals, we still saw the shaky early games. Look at deaths at 15 for the EU LCS, so top right corner. We had the most deaths That's actually Unicorns of Love. Despite being the now number 2 team in Group B, they die so much compared to other teams. And the man we're looking at in this game to kind of abuse that early game, it's Maxlor. He's often very, very active early on. He's actually able to join in with his team to get kills, assists. You see that jungle proximity is JP in the middle. It's how much time he's spending near these laners, second in the league. So he's extremely active with moving around looking for ganks, and that's what you got to do against Unicorns of Love because they will overextend.
Have to see how he adapts to this unfamiliar jungle matchup, however. So far, it's looking pretty good for him, but going up against a Kindred, going up against a new pick like this, we have to hope that he's seen it in scrims, because it can be something that's difficult to adapt to already. Xerxes has picked up a mark off the jungle, and if he can continue to pick them up at a pretty high pace, it's going to make it very difficult to duel out this Kindred at any point.
And obviously, top lane right now, Thari just trying to play as passive as possible. Doesn't want to risk any ganks without his flash, so he's letting Visichachi just control the lane, and Xerxes just trying to farm his way up. Obviously, one of the problems is when you play an auto-attack reliant champion, as you said earlier, Drake, is like you rely on getting items. It's not just about jumping in and getting a big burst hit, because you don't really have that much burst as a Kindred. It's long fights, jumping around in your W with the reset on Q.
Have to see those. Xerxes spending a lot of time.
Cooldown on Q, I should say.
Hovering around the mid lane. Taunt going to come in. Looking for a little bit of damage. We have to keep our eyes on the bottom side. That's the engage, the leap forward. Hansama potentially in trouble, but the flay backwards going to stop any further aggression. Now pulled back in by the Lantern. Hansama flashing forward. Can't find Samix, but Ignar's got his sight set
has no
on
flash, remember.
Moving in. Hook goes in. Hansama leaping forward. The minions are aggressing onto him, though. That's not going to be good. The kill traded back.
He got the first one, though, so technically worth it here for Misfits. Mid lane, we actually see Exile.
He has to be careful, too.
Oh, there's too many minions probably. Maxlor
just punch his way out.
Yeah, Maxlor didn't know where Xerxes would be on the map, and there were so many minions hitting him, so he didn't try and force a flash here from Exile. But as we talked about in Champs, like bot lane, Zyra Khan versus Thresh Virus, like squishy targets in the early game, a lot of CC. You can be so aggressive in these lanes, and they're basically jumping right at it against each other.
And I feel bad. I broke the ultimate caster taboo. I said aggress onto.
Monte Cristo rolling around in his grave.
He's still alive. What?
He is the man, though, who actually hates that word, so now he's mad at you.
And now we look at the fight again, and you can see, honestly, just amazing play from Ignar. Keeps this fight going. However, Hansama not quite respecting the minion damage.
But obviously, Ignar knows right now that he's full HP. He can keep doing it. Hansama, I think he knows he's going to die, but he's like, you know what? If I can get a kill, and then maybe the last hit doesn't actually kill him, it's obviously then a win for Misfits. Go back to level 1, though. Imagine if Hylissang had not gone for that crazy play. He would have had flash ready for that fight.
Would have been much easier for them to pull ahead. The good news is the kill goes on to Rakan. Not going to be a major factor in the laning phase. Varus getting the kill, however, much stronger.
Oh, it finds Exile again.
Now in trouble. Ball has been attached. Level 5 for Power of Evil. He may be trying to get level 6 here. Ult comes out right as the level 6 comes in, and that means Exile is going to be safe.
Staying alive for now. Power of Evil just got his level 6 now. Could have probably used it to force a flash in that last fight. Camera keeps going to bottom lane, and I keep expecting them just all in each other straight away.
It's all about bottom lane. See, NA said mid priority. We said no. We said it's about the bottom lane. We definitely said no,
and then we lost Rift Rivals.
Shh. Claude, we don't need to talk about that.
That's fine. That's fine. There was actually nothing happening last week. It was just a bad dream. Unicorns of Love with the Kindred, sneaking in the bottom lane.
Moving forward.
See that one guy there.
That one guy is not.
Where's security? Get security here.
Coming in. Hold that thought. We'll have to let him stay for now. Well, nothing's going to come from that. Xerxes using his execute as an engage.
That's just,
it's a little unfortunate in the way that the kit is designed.
Yeah, it feels bad, man. He's okay, though. Sadly for him, the mark is on the other side that he actually wants from the enemy Grump. Obviously, with the push from Visichachi, he could actually coordinate and invade and get it right now, if you are Unicorns of Love.
But you see the pings from Gragas already coming up, looking to deny that mark. That can be a huge part of playing against Kindred.
That's the Grump.
You don't want to let him have it, and you don't have to.
I think actually that's one of the reasons most junglers don't like Kindred is she relies so much on getting these marks. And in professional play, often it is pretty easy to coordinate against it and just kind of deny her from getting easy stacks. In solo queue, you can definitely do it, and that's why I think she's actually a fine solo queue pick. But it is hard to do in professional play.
I just feel like it's the equivalent of if enemy team could see my pings, and I'd like, hey, I'm going to go here.
Yeah.
I need to go here. I don't know what you're going to do about that, but please don't.
Ooh, I think Maxwell ended up stealing the blue away from Power of Evil up there. So Power Weevil, no blue buff. Funny enough, Exile also sitting without a blue buff. It was actually just picked up by Xerxes himself. So we got some greedy junglers.
I guess the good news is that neither one has a blue buff in this case, so no one at too big of a disadvantage, although the Catalyst may be a bit more reliant for mana in the early game, although that's debatable.
Yeah, because
Lost Chapter.
Lost Chapter here is fantastic for mana region with the level up. Xerxes, he's still looking at that Grump. He's on his way.
It's not there, buddy. Or is it there?
I think Maxlor just actually walked away from it.
All right, Maxlor.
Guess we just
challenging Xerxes, saying, hey, I'm going to give you those stacks. Let's see what you can do. Now, of course, they're going to know that they got that mark. There'll be the update on the Kindred. Xerxes going to walk out of that one. Is level 6, has the Lamb's Respite. But no real... Now, see, the thing is, we criticized Unicorns of Love for overaggression in the early game, and outside of Hylissang, the rest of the team has been playing relatively safe. One almost overextension from Exile.
And I also really like the Galio mid lane pick here, being picked up by more European teams, because what Galio provides is obviously just very safe laning phase where you don't have to play around him. You can just leave him if you want. He can just sit there and wave clear. And then his ulti is just so good to prevent either action against you, because the enemy team always knows, okay, Galio can join with either ulti or teleport. But also, in case you are going too aggressive, he's kind of that plan B. He's like the safety net that you sometimes need if you are looking to dive onto enemy turrets. And that's where Exile can come in and actually help.
No. Can make up for any of those poor engages that could come in from the team. Now, one of the things I'm excited to see... If
that's a good one. He's getting it right down the wrist, Scarlet. That is the dream for Xerxes right now.
By the way, when Kindred was meta, this is the #1 thing that junglers complained about in competitive, was the RNG of marks, because you could go into a game as Kindred and get 3 Scuttle Crab spawns back-to-back and just pretty much instantly win the game on the back of where the mark would appear.
Looking bot lane right now, we do see Maxlor is down there already on the Gragas, so Exile should probably just go back to mid lane and continue actually playing it safe, slow and steady Unicorns of Love. Xayah definitely is one of the AD carries who needs a few items under her belt before she really can take over the game. And right now we actually see Unicorns, as you said before here, Drake, is not really going too aggressive, and it's a good thing to see. It's a good change from them. Also, I have to say, Misfits are not really putting down much of a challenge. Maxlor have not found much of an opening here on this Gragas. Still flash available, still ulti available. He's level 7. You should definitely look for a gank top lane against Vizicsacsi, where you have Kled, or you want to go bot lane and try and punish the Xayah Rakan lane. But it is difficult with, of course, the extra mobility on both those champions. Maxwell, though, he's on his way now.
And the question to me, Deficio, is who comes out on top if we both teams just keep playing the farm game? Just keep stalling, not looking for any aggressive plays, just farming up for a few items. Who does that really favor in the end?
I think both teams actually have good scaling. Oh, this one hit.
He's going to try to look for a way out, but the chain CC comes in. The quickening, not enough.
That's what we wanted to see from Maxwell right there. Start ganking, start being active. You got CC in the bottom lane to play around. Kled as well, top lane, can set up another gank for you. When it comes to late game, Unicorns of Love comp is very, very strong with the Kindred Galio protecting Samax. I think actually their late game is super hard to deal with if you are Misfits, where Misfits composition obviously still is strong with good scaling. I think a lot of it then relies on a great Gragas ulti from Maxlor, getting people out of that Kindred ulti so they can nuke someone down in time. If that doesn't happen, then Samax should stay alive and win the fight for his team.
And thank you, Observer Team, for highlighting that yet again another mark has spawned on the Gromp, but have to hold that thought. An aggressive engage coming in on the top side. Vizicsacsi could be in trouble. Power People trying to speed up Alfari. But where is the Shockwave? Bear Trap on a rope. Gonna pull him back. Flash forward for Power. Not gonna work in the end.
You guys didn't see that. You guys didn't see that.
I mean, I think they did, to be fair.
No. It's a spectator bug. He totally doesn't have cooldown on Flash right now. He obviously thought he can get in range to land a Shockwave and pull Vizicsacsi back, but that was a missed opportunity. Ball was also stuck on the ground just when he arrived. Now Ignore, he's trying, he's locked to top side. No flash on Vizicsacsi, he should just step away here, Chachi.
Swap comes out, Vizicsacsi now running. He has silenced himself, so he can't reliably get out of this one. No flash either. Hansama just autoing down, taking his time, takes the Lantern in. Do they have the damage? Not going to connect the hook, but the last auto's going to do it suddenly. Engage in mid lane. Quickness comes out. That's the recombo. And they're going to grab a kill back on the side of the Unicorns' Love.
So much engage here from Unicorns in the mid lane. They get that one kill. Trying to get tower as well. They should be able to secure it. Yep. Get in Alfari. Might look for a fight.
Bear Trap on a rope, but that's level 10 Galio. Kindred alive, available, has the ultimate. Both sides are going to back up. And as soon as I say it to Fisher, as soon as I say, hey, it's a calm, collected early game, no one's going to kill each other, we get 5 kills. in the span of about 2 minutes. So clearly teams ready to look for a fight when they get the chance.
Yeah, I like the return gank from the lane swap with Misfits on top side. Chachi, obviously, when the enemy dual lane is missing, you have no flash. Just step away, you know, just play passive, wait until you see them. He didn't do that, he got punished for it. Meanwhile, though, bot lane tower goes in favor of Unicorns, because Samuks just did, and they get a Drake. So right now, Unicorns of Love are getting a lot of gold in the early game. They're not getting punished by Misfits. And this, obviously, from what we talked about earlier with Misfits having the good early game and Unicorns of Love having the good late game in terms of the play styles of the teams, well, then this 2,000 gold advantage at 13 minutes is, of course, heavily in favor of Unicorns of Love, and looks very good now for their late game team fighting.
It definitely does. One man, though, who can have late game team fighting impact on the side of Misfits is Power of Evil in the mid lane, and he has been clutch in the last few games that Misfits have played. Definitely the strongest performing member over the course of summer.
Very, very true. So many games have been about getting Power of Evil fed, either have him go into a team fighting carry or go to a side lane and try and be a split pusher. As you can see in the numbers here, like, he's involved in everything this team is doing. Like 75% kill participation. Damage percent is very high from him as well. This, of course, is when you look at the other mid laners in EU LCS. So he has been such a key part of this team. Hylissang is looking for something top, and Summer already found him.
Found each other, you know, reunited. But Hylissang, not a fan of that relationship, is just going to leave, walk away.
Typical. Look at the Exile right there, a lot of ages. We saw Ryu do this in the NALCS simply to try and utilize the fact that Galio Q got a bit of a scaling buff, lost base damage, but got more AP ratio. That's what he's trying to now use here. Let's see what happens.
Going in, Recombo, eyes on Samuks, but it's just going to be a safe way to disengage the fight. Now Misfits around the Rift Herald, but I don't think they're going to pull the trigger there. Not going to risk taking it. Meanwhile, a bit of action on the bottom side, but just scattered fights across the map, no one committing.
I have to highlight Xerxes got that second Gromp as well. He is on 4 stacks right now, so extra 75 range for him on his auto attacks. Very, very good for Xerxes and his Kindred. He's actually off to a great start where he's not really been needed a whole lot. He's been able to just kind of farm. He even secured a Drake for his team. Chachi and Alfari going at it in the bottom lane. No one will go down, and Chachi is a bit overextended, but I think they have enough information on the rest of Misfits to know that he's not going to get ganked.
And I know Quickshot isn't here, and I know you miss him.
So you're going to do your stats.
So I'm going to give you a fun fact. Actually, I'm going to hold that thought, because here comes the fight. In goes the Galio. No Lamb's Respite yet. That means Xerxes is fine for now, but Hylissang needs to make his way out of there. Suddenly, he's getting caught out, though. Power of Evil getting aggressive. It's Alfari on the backside. Lamb's Respite buying him a little bit of time. Ignite has ticked down, but no one's going to drop. Samuks and Xerxes going to save the day for Hylissang there, but Exile has to make it out now. Looks like everything's going to be okay in the end.
TPs were used by both top laners as well. Unicorns of Love did look for that fight. They were the ones engaging it, at least invading in, and then it was, of course, Ignite's hook that actually started the fight. So I guess technically Misfits engaged it, but Unicorns were kind of setting up for it. They will get a top tower for it, so it's going to be 3 turns to 0. And right now, what we're seeing from Misfits is they have not been able to find a lot of early game ganks. And all the lanes have just kind of gone even against each other, which simply means now that Unicorns of Love, after these fights, have been able to always get something in return. Fight in mid lane, well, get a top lane.
Yeah, more than just a little something in return.
Okay, getting a lot in return.
Yes.
I was trying to be a nice guy for Misfits fans here.
That's fair. And now I'm going to be a nice guy for Unicorns of Love fans and Quickshot, who is not here. This is the fun fact stat. It's a fun fact for the Unicorns of Love, but not a fun fact for the Misfits. This season, Misfits have not won a game with a more than 12,000 gold deficit.
1,200.
1,200. Now, 1,200. Yes, thank you. Now, if you take a look closely at the gold graphs there, Deficio, tell me, what do you see?
I see Unicorns of Love be 2,500 gold ahead right now.
Which means a 2,500 gold deficit for Misfits.
25,000 gold ahead.
Look, man, numbers are hard, all right? It's not as... It's difficult. Bottom line, Misfits can change the status quo, or they can fall down as they have in every other game. They have been making more aggressive moves with that engage near the Baron Pit, but things starting to backfire against them, however. Ignar and Maxlore.
Looking for top lane.
Letting the audience know they're interested in this kill by shouting at the top of their lungs. Wave has been cleared. Vizichachi may go down here. Flayed back. Flash away. Does he hold his life for now? Kaz not going to connect. Chain CC does come in. Meanwhile, the Rift Herald has been summoned. Vizichachi buying what time he can, but he's going to get taken down. Let's get our eyes on that Rift Herald. Never mind. Got to look at Exile. Jousting over the wall. Bear trap on a rope. Exile running for his life. Does he have enough time not to channel the ultimate? But meanwhile, the Unicorns of Love, they're pushing down bottom side. 3-man strong, make that 4. They got a Rift Herald backing them up.
We'll get another charge on that tower here, but Misfits, they're on the way. Max Law, Ignore down here. We see Power of Evil coming from mid lane as well. Will not make it in time, though. Well, maybe they will.
Forward. Featherstorm coming out, but there's the charge coming in. Now Samix, no tools left to escape. Lamster Spike is up. Cersei not going to cast it. Does not want to waste the time. Just needs to make it out of there. Now the Battle Dance going to take him to safety. Keep your eyes on PoE. Slowing him down with the dissonance. Looking to make it forward. Hylissang trying to dash out. Doesn't have any more escapes, and that's Misfits firing back.
Unicorns of Love here, they tried to set up that play in the bottom lane. They want to keep Chachi top lane for wave clear and keep Exile mid for wave clear. Simply meant that once Misfits actually moved in behind Chachi, they found their first kill. Then Exile suddenly was surprised in the mid lane. That was the second kill for Misfits. And after Unicorns then tried to all in for that bot lane inhib turret that they didn't kill, will get its HP back. Well, then suddenly they actually found themselves overextending in 3 lanes. First top, then mid, then bot lane. And Unicorns of Love here, they got punished. The Kled ulti here from Alfari was key so that him and Power of Evil could make it down to the bottom lane in time to start chasing Unicorns of Love here. Let's see another fight.
Starting out a little bit of poke damage down. Both teams backing out. Have to be careful. Lamster Spite up for Xerxes. Major ability to keep your eyes on. The Equalizer as well does get laid down. Commitment onto the Infernal Drake. That one will drop for the Unicorns of Love. Misfits prowling in the jungle, but may not be able to get the fight that they want.
Let's see if they actually can get out alive here, but they will lose the mid lane tower. Unicorns of Love are not just walking straight past Misfits yet. Well, he's saying he's trying, but he has a jump, so he's going to be okay. They will lose the mid lane tower for it. I think definitely worth it for Unicorns of Love because they're getting Infernal Drake.
Yeah, when you have a Kindred and a Xayah and a Rumble,
yeah,
and Galio a little bit.
You take the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, you're happy to have it.
You definitely take the Infernal Drake. This game, though, man, so many plays happening every single time in every single lane, I feel like. Whenever we look bot lane, there's already a play happening top lane as well. A lot of it comes down to the cross map, and the team's actually not respecting the cross map. Because right there, if you are Unicorns of Love and you are grouping bot lane to try and push a tower, your top laner needs to just leave, just walk away. Chachi tried, but he did it too late. That's why he got caught. Well, obviously your mid laner, just walk away. Too late, he got caught as well. So, because we're seeing this cross-mapping where the teams are trading against each other and none of them actually respecting the cross-map, that's why we get so many kills in these side lanes. And it's 7 kills for Misfits, but they're down in turrets.
Now Misfits, of course, looking a little bit better when it comes to mid-game shot calling this time around. That was not the case against H2K. Keep in mind, both those games you see on the bottom of your screen are both losses as Samix makes his way to safety there. But Misfits, after that series, no matter how far ahead they get, I feel like until they kill that Nexus, we cannot have faith that they are going to end the game.
That is very, very true. And one of the things we want to track from Misfits is the improvement in the late game from them. Let's see what happens here.
Combo going in, not going to connect. Maxwell trying to make his way out. Lantern is available, but is knocked back, taunted, not going to be able to grab it. Now has to flash to safety. Xerxes doing what damage he can, throws down the Lamster Spite. Hylissang going to try to make it out to safety. Will offer a bit of a heal onto that Misfits lineup, and Exile, he's getting baited in.
Chachi's still in the mid lane right here. Unicorns of Love just chasing in for kills without having all 5 members around them. They're going for more.
Jousting, flash forward, looking for the disengage. Ooh, pop onto the Rakan. That's going to be enough damage coming in. Misfits grab another one, and Baron could just be on the table.
Yeah, they're actually very healthy. They have 2 tanks as well who can stand right in front of the Baron, so they're going for it.
No Lamster Spite means no denying the Baron execute. Although I doubt that's how you'd want to use it.
Let's see here. Chachi without ulti. Samux getting caught right now.
No ulti either. May not have a way out of this one. It's the hook over the wall. Ignar not going to get the follow-up. Suddenly Xerxes is in trouble. May not have enough damage. Bear trap on a rope. Not going to connect in the end. Hansama moving up to the top side. Vizichachi looking for the outplay. Can he get it? Does he have golden? Does not. No Zanyas to save him. Hansama versus Xerxes. Who is going to take it? Kindred versus Varus. What's it going to be? And it's going to be the Varus in the end.
Hansama wins the fight right here. Power of Evil gets another kill in the mid lane. 6-0 on this Orianna now. No Nash's Tooth. What's happening right here? Power of Evil suddenly actually going for a build that deals damage.
Hey man, I talked to him about that. He said sometimes it's the right when they're going to put him in the side lane, but when it's all about the team fight, he's all about the team fight. He's all about the damage.
And actually also the reason he goes for Nash's Tooth is when he's playing against things like Lucian that auto-attacks a lot, he likes to be able to trade back with his auto-attack. So there is a legit reason behind it. Obviously just making a little bit of fun of the build itself. They were spending so much time on denying the Lantern click that in the end, they've actually used all the CC and Maxwell just flashes out. And look at the minimap right now. Vizicachi is walking from the bot lane because he didn't want to use his teleport as soon as the engage happened. He didn't even make it into that jungle in time, and now the re-engage, Hylissang wants to be a bro, and then he just gets hit by an Orianna.
That Luden's Echo proc, the dissonance as well. Power reveals so strong. Watch this fight again. Keep in mind, Baron is going on live. We'll get that update momentarily on your screen. And just not a whole lot you can do to escape there. But gonna have to watch the fight. In comes the charge. Does hit Exile. That's the ideal target for Unicorn's Love. That's the 4-man taunt. Do they have the damage? The follow-up engage. The knock-up Galio. Gonna try to leap in, but he gets interrupted. Maxlor with a massive cask. And now Cersei, he's gonna try to play cleanup, but I don't know if he's gonna get the chance. 5 members still up for Misfits. Hook goes over the wall and goes wide. Both teams backing off from the pit.
I like the fact that Misfits are trying to just force fights around this Baron here. They started and they don't stay on it. As soon as they see Unicorns of Love, they stop the Baron, they turn around, they go for the engage. Big team fights happening left and right. This game has been extremely exciting to watch with so many fights from basically level 1. And now we see Unicorns of Love trying to get something in return here. Not getting
Misfits, maybe looking for the engage there. Maxwell running forward. That's the Righteous Glory. Vizicachi now slowed up. Ignore on the way in. Vizicachi no Zanya's either. That's a dead Rumble.
And story of this game right there, Dracos. Unicorns of Love, they're always taking a few steps too far forward. They're always overstaying for just a few seconds too long. And then Misfits with Gragas, with this Kled here as well, they're constantly able to actually find the Unicorns of Love members that are overstaying, and they catch them and they kill them. That's why they have 14 kills at 24 minutes.
Baron is started, is ticking down, but Ignar's got his sights set on Exile, who may have strayed too far. Taunt gonna connect onto 3 members, but they're happy to hit him anyway. There is no follow-up from the Unicorns of Love. Exile running for his life. Fails the flash over the wall, and Power of Evil more than happy to go Legendary on the back of that play. Baron in the sights of Misfits.
Third time we see the Baron start out. Hook just missing here. Xerxes, if he wants to steal this, he needs to cancel that recall. He did actually cancel it.
How far is he mounted?
Yeah, he has no skull on him, and I think Misfits are realizing they're taking a little bit too much damage from this Baron. They do step away. Still, they are in a good spot. They can keep forcing fights. Kled ulti, Righteous Glory from Maxlor, and Ignar being on point again on Thresh. What a monster performance from him.
0, 1, and 11. Good thing to see that Thresh in the hands of Ignar.
Well, they're starting it.
Unicorns of Love gonna leap over a lot of percentage and current health damage in the kit of Kindred. So, should be able to burn this one down. It's getting lower and lower. Misfits on the way in. In comes the flat charge. Can they get the fight afterwards? Maxwell, can you take it away? He gets it! Misfits, now they get to play cleanup. A Baron backing them up as well. Exile running. He concedes defeat. Vizicachi drops the price to pay for the hubris of the Unicorns. And at the end of the day, that's the Baron for Misfits.
It's the game right here, Dracos. Unicorns of Love, they thought they had a few more seconds to burn it down. I actually think the call in itself, while risky, it made sense. They're like, okay, look, everyone recalled. We have Kindred. Maybe we can burn it down in time. A few seconds off, Maxwell shows up. He gets the Baron. Misfits gets the fight as well. Mid tower going down. 5k goal lead suddenly for them.
And such a good look for Maxlord, too. Misfits have to be feeling confident now. Baron backs them up. They're going to grab that tier 2 tower for free.
Go back, spend the gold.
Has to be a good look. And I got to say, Maxlore on this Gragas has been such a massive catalyst for a fight. And now with the steal as well, definitely making a good case for player of the game at this moment.
A lot of guys actually in Misfits right now looking good individually, but we didn't get to see the early game we saw from Misfits against H2K because they drafted a Gragas. They wanted a bit more scaling on the lineup. They didn't want to go all in for early ganks. And that was basically in favor of Unicorns of Love. We saw Unicorns get good early turrets and actually look strong in that early to mid-game because they didn't get punished by an early game jungler. But then we've now seen just Misfits use the Gragas to constantly catch out Unicorns of Love.
On top of the Thresh, the Varus, the Kled as well to
all
start
the CC,
fights. So much engaged
CC
for Misfits. It's a good look for the team. And I'll be honest, I was skeptical. When the early game was not a massive snowball in their favor, after the hesitation and the poor mid to late game shot calling, I didn't think Misfits could do it, but they are coming back with a vengeance.
And we look at also Unicorns of Love. We've talked about this already, but too many times have they disrespected how fast Misfits can actually engage onto them. That's why they gave up so many kills. By being too aggressive, overstaying. This mid lane tower will die in just a few seconds. Nothing Unicorns can do to defend it. They're trying though.
Ulti comes out. Gonna offer a bit of poke, but Maxler looking to start the fight. Goes Golden, that's an easy cast if he's gonna get it, but in goes Hylissang to back up on the engage, trying to run out there, but just not quick enough. Lamb's respite, a brief pause, but that's gonna be kills picked up for Maxlor. Exile's running for his life. Maxlor may trade his back in the end, but the third stack not going to proc. Xerxes not going to get a kill, and that's the double for PoE. Misfits may just run it down mid.
I mean, it is pushing in for the finish here. They can TP back with Fari as well. Power of Evil's full HP. They got Baron buffed minions. They're going for it.
Xerxes coming in. Exile trying to get his way out. Xerxes just going to get popped immediately. Samix now in trouble. Alfari not going to get pulled in the fountain. Now backing away. 20-3, the kill score. Big gold lead for Misfits. Now moving into the base as well. And at the end of the day, dead even for the vast majority of the game. But Misfits, they changed those bad habits. Does not matter what deficit they found in the early game. They find the win here in game one, or will shortly when they're done having their way with the Unicorns lineup. Uzachachi can't save it. That's the win.
I mean, the amount of engage and CC drafted on the side of Misfits just made it much easier for them to use the advantage once they got it. Notice how they kept going to Baron, disengage Baron, take the fight multiple times. I think just much easier for them to actually close out the game with this kind of draft.
Look at that Power of Evil scoreline. 11-0-4. Now, Quickshot's gonna be sad he wasn't here for this, but Power of Evil had died once at least every game, 39 games straight. This is the first game in 40 games that he has not died. A clean Orianna performance for sure, and a fun fact stat to back it up.
And Misfits not relying on fancy 1-3-1 with a Lucian or LeBlanc. They relied on going 5-man together, Kled ulti, Righteous Glory, Varus, everything. Combine that, and you get your fight every time. If you can't get a fight with that kind of comp, you're never going to get a fight.
And the proficiency from Ignar landing those hooks just about every time. Maxler, the confidence. Righteous Glory looking like a pretty strong item on the back of a couple of those engages. It's a good look for Misfits. I thought it'd be risky trying to team fight against Unicorns of Love, but they make it work.
I mean, we have to remember, when we talk about Unicorns of Love and late game team fighting, we're not saying they are way better than everyone else. Like, this was something I saw people point out as well after the TSM series. It's not like a team like TSM, or let's say Misfits in this case here, necessarily have to be much worse team fighters than a Unicorns of Love. It is just where Unicorns of Love find their strength. It is in these late game team fights where they can find good engages, and they can kind of outplay you and also surprise you quite a lot in the late game. That didn't happen this game because the draft from Misfits with all the engage was just so effective at always finding overextended Unicorns players.
Yeah, and I just feel like the Unicorns of Love composition never felt like it clicked in the way that you might look at those skills and think the abilities are going to work together. Well, Misfits Gaming's got first blood here against Unicorns of Love. Let's see what our analysts think of that first win.
Thank you, Drakus. I also see, Deficio, that you're sporting that ugly blue pen when you left your beloved black and red Riot pen here at the desk.
It's mine.
It is Odoamnes now. You're never getting it back. But I also would like to jump on what Deficio ended there with the fact that Misfits had a great comp to make a lot of plays and engage whenever they wanted. So do you think they went for that because they might have had a kind of a mental setback after not being able to finish the game out versus you guys? If you always have playmaking ability, then you diminish that chance. Or do you think it was just specifically targeted at the Unicorns?
I don't really think it's because of what happened against us, because even against us, they didn't have that much playmaking ability, but they had more individualistic champions. They had, when they played us in the second game, they had Zyra Khan and they had Lucian mid as well, and that's a really powerful trio. They can pretty much make plays solo or just group it up and try to make stuff happen. They have a lot of damage, but less CC, but I think it was really good what they did this game, because with so much engage, even if you're behind, you can make so many plays happen, and it was pretty good because Unicorns was trying to play some sort of disengage style and protect style with Kindred and Galio and all this stuff. So I think their approach was pretty good.
Yeah, it seemed to be working very effectively against Unicorns of Love specifically. What do we make of the Kindred? What is the consensus on the desk? You guys weren't a fan when it came out in the draft, and unfortunately for Unicorns, the game didn't play to them either.
Yeah, I have a lot of question marks about the Kindred. I think that
Kindred marks?
Nice try.
You know what? The Twitch chat's going to spam now.
Anyway, the thing about Kindred is something that Odo and I were talking a lot about was how difficult it actually is for her to get her marks. Because if you respect her goals in the early game, you can really mitigate a lot of what she's trying to do, which is every time you know where she wants to go into the jungle, you can either put wards there, you can focus your camps there, or you can just get extremely unlucky with just straight up RNG.
Yeah, for sure, because say if the Kindred is on the bot side of the map at level 2, waiting for the crab to spawn at 2:30, and the crab spawns on the top side of the map, you essentially just trade the sides of the map and you don't even get your mark. And she's not a good 1v1 champion, for sure. Every jungler can out-duel her, and she's not a great ganker either. So her only out is pretty much to try and get the stacks. So if the enemy team just tries to play counter to that, just try to control Kindred marks, she can't really do much because she's not a good ganker, she's not a good duelist. So early game is pretty much easy. You just have to control the Kindred.
So we definitely didn't like the pick is what I'm hearing here. And obviously they weren't able to do a lot. However, Unicorns of Love didn't fall very far behind in the early game. So that is an advantage because they fell very hard behind rather at Rift Rivals. But we were waiting for the fights to break out. And Unicorns of Love, they still thought that they could make the engages on the Misfits. And our first replay is going to show that. And our only replay, because in the end, they never managed to kill anyone, even with the safety measures they had built in.
The important thing to recognize here is this is a very classic Unicorns of Love play where they just try to make stuff happen when they all aren't really on the same page. Hillesan goes for an engage because he's with Exile, he has Xerxes, but you saw where the Rumble is. He's literally walking from bottom lane up with the rest of his team when a full 5v5 has just started off. And it just feels like, why did the Unicorns of Love need to make this play happen? Why aren't they on the same page trying to make it happen? And then why aren't they executing upon it properly? And I just feel like we're still seeing similar issues to what we saw when they went up against the North American teams. Not only were, sure, they were able to get a few early game advantages, but the fact is when they tried to make plays, they just didn't seem to be on the same page.
Yeah, is it just generally them not being on the same page or Misfits with all their engage tools? Because every time Unicorns of Love go in and they don't manage to kill a target, Misfits have 1, 2, 3 other ways to catch one of their targets.
I mean, for sure that's a factor because Unicorn's lineup doesn't really have that much lockdown to kill any targets. And in the replay we just saw even Xayah was in the river killing the crab. So it was pretty much a 3v4 and Misfits just played really well. They used the TP to counter that because they saw how committed Yol was for that fight. And it's just easy because Misfits has way more engage tools. They have so much more lockdown than the Yol lineup has. Because if Yol manages to kill someone in that initial fight, then Misfits probably can't get those kills in return and get pressure on the map.
It's a case of making it easier for yourself, which sometimes we ask the question for teams that are struggling, why don't you just do that?
Exactly that, and I think we have to come back again to this Kindred point. Imagine if that was something like a Gragas or a Sejuani like we saw earlier in the day. You now have a much easier way to set up for the Rumble ultimate. You have a better position for the Xayah to follow up. Galio has an easy time getting in. Like, the reality was that when you have options in terms of being able to make plays, it was very clear that Misfits had so many more than Yoel did, and when they tried to make things happen, it was extremely difficult.
That it was. We're going to move on, but before we go, Odawamne, I gave you a thank you for being on the desk by praising you and calling some stats. So here's another stat. You have the least isolated deaths split for top laners. That's 9. That means dying when none of your team is around.
Can I have another pen now?
No, I'm going to hang on to this one because I actually do love this pen. But congratulations on that stat. More coming your way as a
9
thank
is
you.
still quite a lot, though, Odo. 9 is... No.
We'll find some more pens in the break. But Misfits Gaming, they're just one win away from taking down the Unicorns of Love. Game 2 is coming up right after this.